indeed for the Saudis, very important indeed. Thanks very much. Phil Mattingly reporting. Earlier today, I sat down with a key Saudi diplomat here in Saudi Arabia who was inside President Biden's meeting with the Saudi Crown Prince. And joining us now, the Saudi Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Adel al-Jubeir. Minister, thank you so much for joining us on this historic but very, very busy day. This, as you know, and you were in the meeting with the President of the United States, was the first meeting between the President and the Crown Prince since the President's condemnation of Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince, out on the campaign trail when he was a candidate for President of the United States. You were in the room. Did President Biden raise Jamal Khashoggi by name?
At the beginning, during the reception, the President mentioned that this was an issue. He mentioned that he took Saudi Arabia's assurances at face value. His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, explained to him that this was a tragedy for Saudi Arabia and that those who were responsible for it have been investigated and faced law and are now paying the price for the crime that was committed. And the conversation then moved on in terms of the official discussions. They discussed important issues in terms of revitalizing the relationship, in terms of energy security, in terms of renewable energy and the climate change, and moving forward in the future, the threat from Iran, in terms of counterterrorism, terror financing, in terms of the trade and investment relationship between the two countries, Yemen, the importance of stability and peace in the Middle East, technology, G5, G6, how the two countries can work in terms of exploration of outer space, and many, many other issues.
So was it your impression, Minister, that President Biden accepted your explanation for the murder of Jamal Khashoggi?
I believe so, but I believe so.
And he didn't raise it anymore throughout the course
What is there to raise, Wolf? A crime was committed.
The U.S. intelligence community, as you know, concluded that the Crown Prince effectively ordered the killing of Jamal Khashoggi.
I don't believe that was specified in those terms, one. Number two, it was an assessment. Number three, we know what the intelligence community's assessment was with regards to Saddam Hussein having weapons of mass destruction. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia investigated this crime. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia held those responsible for it accountable, and they are paying the price of the crime they committed as we speak. We investigated, we punished, and we put in place procedures to ensure that this doesn't happen again. This is what countries do in situations like this. This is what the U.S. did when the mistake of Abu Ghraib was committed. This is what the U.S. does in other situations that involve combat operations or that involve any situation where somebody transgresses or makes a mistake.
Because you know President Biden, as a candidate, certainly believed the U.S. intelligence assessment.
Wolf, you and I had a similar conversation with regards to what President Trump said when he was on the campaign trail. What people say on the campaign trail sometimes doesn't get reflected in terms of being in office, because they have access to more intelligence, they have access to a fuller and broader picture when they do these things. And I think the relationship between our two countries is a very strong, strategic, important relationship for both countries, and we want to make sure that we take it forward to a higher and broader and deeper level.
You may have heard that in an interview, Khashoggi's former fiancée said she wants President Biden to ask the Crown Prince where Khashoggi's body is. Can the Crown Prince answer that question?
I haven't seen her question, and I don't know that we know where the body is. And we have had an investigation, and we published the results of this investigation when the public prosecutor issues the charges against the defendants.
As you know, human rights groups extensively have documented what they claim to be Saudi Arabia's ongoing jailing of dissidents, repression of basic women's rights, mass executions, and more. Will the Crown Prince make specific commitments to President Biden and to the U.S., indeed to the world, on addressing these basic human rights issues?
We take issue with the charges that are leveled against Saudi Arabia. Anybody who is punished is subject to a court review, and the charges are brought by the prosecution. The courts look into it. The defendants have the right to appeal before a decision becomes final, just like in the United States. Unfortunately, many of the charges for which people are being punished are not reflected by those who cast aspersions on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and its legal system.
Let's talk about another key issue that I assume came up, oil supplies. Did President Biden ask you, Saudi Arabia, to increase oil production with the hope that it would reduce the price of gasoline in the United States?
Not in with the specificity, because the president knows that energy issue is an issue of supply and demand. It's an issue of balancing markets. Saudi Arabia is committed to ensuring stability in the oil markets. The U.S. government is aware of this. The issue of increases in prices of gasoline that we've seen recently are really a function of geopolitics and psychology, more than they are about fundamental supply-demand. The problem of gasoline in the United States is more a function of the lack of refining capacity in the United States than a shortage of
But is Saudi
crude
Arabia
oil.
ready to increase oil production?
Saudi Arabia has made it very clear over the past decades that it seeks to assure market stability, that it looks at the fundamentals of supply and demand, and that it works within OPEC and now within OPEC Plus to ensure that the markets are adequately supplied with crude oil. Saudi Arabia has increased its oil production over the past year substantially in accordance with the demands of the market, and this is a situation that is continuously being assessed by our energy ministry and by experts in this area to determine whether or not more oil is required or less oil is required.
But I assume
we do this
President
in
Biden
conjunction
pressed you
with
on
the
this
other-
issue today.
No, the president doesn't press us on this issue. The president is aware that Saudi Arabia is keen on maintaining stability in the markets. Wolf, the president did not come here to press Saudi Arabia. The president came here to have a meeting with one of America's most important allies in the world and in the region. We face common challenges that we need to work together in order to overcome. There are many opportunities for us that we want to avail ourselves of. He came here to consult on the various issues and how we can move forward in order to ensure that the next 80 years are as positive as the previous 80 years in our relationship.
President Biden has made it abundantly clear he wants Saudi Arabia to do what the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain and some of the other Arab countries have done, normalize relations with Israel. Is Saudi Arabia ready to normalize relations with Israel? And if you are, when?
We have said that Saudi Arabia supports the Arab Peace Initiative. In fact, we authored it, and we have made it clear that peace comes at the end of this process, not at the beginning of it. We have also said that the countries that signed the Abrahamic Accords with Israel, those are sovereign decisions made by those countries. We hope that those decisions will have a positive impact on Israeli domestic
Is Saudi Arabia
politics.
ready to join the Abraham Accords?
We have made it clear that we need to have a process, and this process needs to include the implementation of the Arab Peace Initiative. And once we are committed to a two-state settlement with a Palestinian state on the occupied territories with East Jerusalem as its capital. That's our requirement for peace.
So that hasn't changed.
No, that hasn't changed, and we have taken positions and made it clear that peace is possible. Peace is a strategic option. Yes, it's a strategic option, but there are certain requirements that have to happen before this takes place.
So what you're saying is it won't happen until there's what they call a two-state solution, Israel and a new state of Palestine.
Yes, that is our position.
Minister, thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime.